So tomorrow I'm going for another session of another medicine of 5-MeO. This will be my third session. Each previous time I've taken at least 2 or 3 doses, but I never recorded anything after the last one. So I thought, well, better to do it now before the third, right? And I still remember it, you know. If you watched my video on the first one, yeah, it was crazy, absolutely crazy. And so the reason I didn't make a second one that soon, and it was maybe the second time was about 5 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago. And the reason I didn't make a second video straight away was because of it was almost the same intensity in the same direction, you know. It took me to hell. It really took me to a dark place. I don't know where this place is. I don't know why this keeps happening. But I took a full dose, and it kicked my ass. It really did. I don't need to go into details as to, what I experienced while I was there, but, it was just that withering and pain and agony and just, like, yeah, inexplicable. If you wanna know, watch the first video about what the DMT did to me. So it was the exact same, pretty much. The only difference is I know what to expect. I don't ever know what to expect. No one ever does. But it wasn't a surprise. So I came out of it. I go deep into this demonic state where I'm like, just, I don't know, either something's taking over, something's inside of me, and then as it wears off and I come back, then I start thinking about my wife, my family, and I'm instantly feeling like shit. Like, why have I done this? Why do I do this? Why do I come back and suffer so excruciatingly? What's the purpose? Why am I doing this? And then, so I was thinking about my wife, and I was like, oh my God, my wife, the shit I do. And then I used, instead of just accepting what had happened, I talk myself back up. So I talk myself into, like, I got to bring the love back into this vessel. I got to bring the love back into my heart, which I have. Just when I take DMT, so far that it hasn't shown me any. So I'm like, oh, my wife, the things I do, I'm a complete arse. Oh, I'm a prick for the things I've done. And I think of the things I've done to her in the past, when I was drinking, when I was, just so selfish, so bitter, and she stuck by me. And so, while I'm still in, bordering that phase with still having the medicine in me, that I can still go deep into it. And so I use that, I go deep in, and then, so for the next 10 minutes, I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? How could I ever treat a woman like that who loves me so much? oh baby, I'm so sorry, what a prick I've been. So it was like that for maybe 15, 20 minutes, just reliving all the things I've done to my wife and my children. And I don't do much to my children. I love them as much as I humanly can, but I had a tough upbringing, and I'm trying to reprogram that after 44 years. That's why I'm doing this. So it came, I talked myself up, and I talked myself up to the point where I was laughing. My friend who I do this with, I got to the point where I was giggling, and she will 100% hold space. She will not interfere. She will not engage in conversation. Nothing. She will completely detach, unless directly spoken to. And so yeah, I involved her in the conversation, and I was just like, oh my god. But then I was like, I can't believe I've done these, and then we're laughing, and then I was just like laughing, and then she's like, yeah, and how do you feel right now? And I was like, I feel good right now. She's like, right? Because that's all there is now. We're in a prenuptial just now. If you don't get that, listen to Rupert Spira. Or Now. There are a couple out there. Deepak Chopra. Many others. And so yeah, I came out with this like ambition and commitment to make amends, to make things better with my wife. And then I was like, but I don't want to leave it at that. I don't want to leave it there. So after a certain amount of time, and I was kind of back to normal, and I had to make a decision. I was like, let's have another dose, but just half. Let's gauge. Maybe I brought myself into this place of loving and empathy and compassion towards my wife. Then maybe it'll give me it'll be kind. Maybe the medicine will be kind to me. Wow, you've no idea. So this is what I think happens. I think it feels like my ego inside me is a separate entity. It feels like my ego is a separate entity. And whenever I take DMT, it's like it knows that I'm coming for it. And it gets fucking pissed. I don't know an analogy of, like, I don't know, putting something, trapping an animal and just watching it just like go completely and utterly berserk to get itself out of there. Like, it will kill itself and tear itself to pieces just to try and survive. And so when I took that second dose, it was waiting for me, my ego. It was waiting. And it basically turned around and gave a big fuck you to me. And yeah, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice at all. Even just a half dose. The only difference was the half dose was it didn't last as long. But 5 minutes, 20 minutes, it's all the same when you're down there. As you can't tell. It was the same intensity. So I gotta be careful, because I've got a real war on my hands. So the aftermath of it was the integration and coming back and, you know, accepting my house the way it is, accepting my wife the way she is, my children the way they are, and that I can't change anyone, that I'm not here to change anyone, that God has given me the perfect family, the absolutely perfect family, but it's me that is choosing, it's Tim that is choosing not to see it that way. That the ego, the 44 years of programming and belief systems that have accumulated in this body and mind, don't see it as perfect and don't see it as loving and compassionate and this. Instead, he sees it as, you know, walking into a kitchen that's a mess and gets grumpy and gets upset, starts cleaning up because no one else will do it, you know. So starts cleaning up, but is a complete prick while doing it, complaining in his head about why is it always him, why is it always you that have to clear up, why is it always you, why is no one else there. This is the shit that I've had to deal with in my head for so long, because I was almost to the point incapable of doing things with a smile to help my family. I would always just pass it on or say like, why is that on for? Why has no one else picked that up? Why is it always me going around the house picking up and clearing up after my boys and this and that? And a really shitty, sad state to be in for a long time. But the love was there. When things are good, things are good. But, you know, when I get triggered and then the mind starts to come in, the thoughts come in, the ego starts to play and take control and enjoy that misery and promote more, then I'm an ass. You know, I try and remove myself sometimes, but it doesn't always work. I'm only human here. So I learned to do things without complaining, and just like how do it for the love of my family and see my wife for what she truly is and what she truly does, and that she's so amazing. Like everything she does is amazing. She looks after my children, and my sons are just, they have more love than I see any other children in this world. And that's not an exaggeration. My children are so incredibly loving, to the extent where I've kind of like had to, you know, ask my son to kind of like just hold back a couple of the hugs to the people, you know, to some people, summer camps and stuff. But anyway, so they're just so loving. My wife does everything, and I'm growing to accept that. Okay, she has these positive traits and she's these negative traits, but I do too. So we have our strengths and weaknesses, and you know, I learn and have been learning to just do everything with a smile. That at the end of the day, everything's going to end, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be grateful for what I have, because I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to not have that mess anymore because something happened. Or to not have my wife anymore because something happened. So I'm learning and I'm growing my heart for my wife and my children even more than I've ever done before. So even though I go through this journey that I put myself through, there's always work and integration of a positive nature after it. Always. And as I say, it's been 5 weeks and my marriage is the best it's ever been because of the decisions I have made. There we go. So yeah, because of the decisions I've made to stop complaining, to stop listening to the negative voice, to do everything with love for my family and empathy and compassionately, and to use my strengths of being able to clean a completely bomb site of a kitchen in 15 minutes, instead of my wife slaving there for over an hour, because it's not her strength. Her strength is nurturing and loving and these things which she's teaching me if I bother to, to engage and learn, which I'm doing. So my life with my wife and my children has never been better, to be honest. I still get triggered. I'm still working on stuff. I'm still chipping away at my programming. And that's what I think that DMT 5-MeO does to me. It's slowly chipping away at my ego. But there's one more thing. Before my journey with DMT, I was fully aware and conscious of my awareness and who I was, or who I truly am. And I had such a higher connection to my guide, my higher self. Internally it was always there. I could always hear it. It always gave me the right advice, whether I chose to go or not. And if I did something that wasn't agreeable, then it would then say, hey, you got to do this to make up for it. Come on, I'm giving you the right thing to do. And it was then up to me to choose. And I would almost always, I would listen to it, and I would make up for it, because I don't hold a grudge, and I'm not a prick for long. It's just temporary. But that voice, that inner guidance, that clarity, that has seemed to I seem to have, it's that awareness of who I am, of being a spiritual being on a human experience. And it's too easily forgotten on a daily basis. Even though I try my best to remind myself, I can't. Previously I used to live my day almost with the awareness within this body, Tim, who's speaking to you now. And it was amazing. But I seem to be sucked right back into the Matrix, or whatever it is. And I also said to myself that maybe this is because I am here for this purpose. I've been put here in this body as Tim to fully engage in this show, this play as this character with my wife and children. And so if God set me up with this, then the least I could do is fully engage and do my best. But man, it's almost like reaching a stage of enlightenment, and then it getting taken away, and then I gave it up or something, and I can't, and I'm constantly trying to reach that again. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't need to reach that, because I am everything I ever need to be. And I have everything I ever need to be inside me. Everything is inside me. So, and the more I search, is more of a desire, and to have a desire is to be the ego, and to pull yourself away from the awareness. But then again, I also think that because I'm on the right path with my family, my wife, that I'm not complaining, I'm not listening, I'm not bitter, I'm not having I'm basically having good days where I'm happy the majority of the time. And so I don't need this guidance, because I'm acting immediately without the guidance having to whisper in my ear, even though it's still there. I'm not hearing it. So there's a bit of sadness to it. It's like, hey, come on, just remind me you're there. But I know it's there. It's all good. So yeah, accepting everything is the way it's supposed to be right now. Everything is the way it's supposed to be right now. And that's it. That's it. So yeah, took me 5 weeks to say that, to bring it out, but here it is. My beard's coming in nice, right? Man, I'm so at peace. I'm so at peace. That was the best decision, and one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life was to cut that beard off at that time. Look myself in the mirror and come to terms with everything and realise that I love that person who did everything back then, because he's made this person you see right now. Yeah. So thank you. God bless you all. Peace.